written a variety of chapters, like it has very good content over it. So I want to know which chapter was the most difficult for you to write, like the one where the ancient wisdom felt very hardest to translate into 21st century corporate context.
Actually, the chapter around the espionage and the strategic secrecy was very difficult for me to write because I did not want it to sound like a Netflix crime series. Then I realized it is very much prevalent in today's business world. People do have market intelligence. Chanakya just probably understood it way back then everyone else that you do not lose because you're weak, you probably lose because you're blind.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today, we are diving into a topic that feels incredibly relevant, even though its roots go back over 2000 years. So, we are often told that to succeed in the modern corporate world, we need the latest tech, newest management theories. But what if the most effective blueprint for leading through disruptions and rapid change was written in ancient India? Think about it. I'm joined by Abhiraj Gupta, the Executive Director of IOL Chemicals and Pharmaceutical and author of the new book, The Chanakya Playbook. Abhiraj has this fascinating background, leading one of the India's largest specialty chemicals and enterprise while being deeply immersed in the Arthashastra. He's managed to bridge that gap between ancient and strategic brilliance and the high-stake reality of modern large-scale manufacturing and R&D. Abhiraj, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
So it's great to have you here. Welcome to the podcast. The very first question is, you have heavy academic background from University of Warwick and ISB. So at what point during those studies did you feel that modern Western management theories were missing a soul or a deeper strategic anchor?
I think all the Western management concepts, all the institutions, they teach you how to build businesses, but they do not really teach you why businesses collapse, even if everything is right, because probably they do not really teach you how to manage the people, which essentially becomes the major essence of how you do business, right. It's just that I think it's just that one teaches you how to win quarters, and the other would teach you how to build something for a legacy for the generation.
Right. So I love that. It's like we have been focusing too much on the how to wala part that we forget why. So it sounds like ancient wisdom brings the human element back into the boardroom.
Exactly.
Okay.
Also, one thing that I would like to point out is that a lot of Arthashastra talks a lot about mastering yourself, mastering your own ego, your own human nature before you can manage someone else, which is not really common in any of the teachings that any of the business schools do. So if you can't really manage yourself, it kind of gets very difficult to manage people
Right.
around you as well, right? So that is why I think a blend of both is is necessary and why I wrote this book.
Right. So like business school focus more on Western part. However, the very root is in India itself, like ancient Arthashastra.
Yeah.
So I want to know, how did your colleagues and peers in the pharmaceutical industry react when they first heard that you were diving deep into ancient Indian philosophy for business strategy?
Initially, I made it a point that to keep it a secret. To be very honest, that even like even my wife did not know that I was writing this book, because I would write it after, like, she sleeps early, so I sleep late, so I would sleep. I would write after she sleeps. But initially, when I posted about it on various social media as well, I think the first concept was it was nice to see that how people actually want to diverge into specific topics such as management, and not just like segmented industries, like for example, like pharma and all. They actually want to people nowadays actually want to understand how management actually works.
Right. So exactly, even I think that people think ancient means outdated until they realize that these principles have survived longer than any modern tech companies.
that's true.
Okay, so in the book you talk about the balance between dharma and artha, material prosperity. So in a world that often prioritizes quarterly profits over everything else, how does an entrepreneur practically maintain that balance?
I think I know Chanakya would probably say that a profit without principles is just self-destruction. In the world where dharma and artha, are competitors, we will it will only lead into destruction. Now, when they complement each other, is something where you would say that legacies would have been built, because dharma talks about your internal values. You can only you can only give your values as legacy. Business itself, the skill of doing business, you cannot. So so that is how shortcuts to improve something might lead to short-term gains, but it is very important to look for. It is very important to build something that is sustainable.
Right, I can understand. So, you have written a variety of chapters, like it has very good content over it. So, I want to know which chapter was the most difficult for you to write, like the one where the ancient wisdom felt very hardest to translate into 21st century corporate context.
Actually, the chapter around the espionage and the strategic secrecy was very difficult for me to write, because I did not want to sound like I did not want it to sound like a Netflix crime series. But then I realized that it is very much prevalent in today's business world. People do have market intelligence. People do track. They do data analysis. They do
Yes.
competitive tracking. So Chanakya just probably understood it way back then. Everyone else, that you do not lose because you're weak. You probably lose because you're blind.
Right. So, how do Chanakya's principle change the way we think about internal mastery? So, is leadership more about managing others or managing yourself?
I think it is very important to understand yourself, important to manage yourself before you can manage someone else. Because if you don't, if, uh, they say that mind should not be the master of the man. Man should be the master of the mind, right? So it's just that it is very important for one to first learn how to manage themselves, and then manage other people. Nowadays, what Western education and what we see nowadays is people predominantly start with managing other people. That is not sustainable.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. So, I want to compare a world that we are living currently. So, we live in an era of constant disruption. So, what does Chanakya teach us about strategic uh, agility and making calculated moves when the future feels completely unpredictable?
I To me, the word pivot, uh, uh, Chanakya would probably like that word quite a bit, because Chanakya believed that any uncertainty, any risk is an element of the business. It is not a crisis. It is a natural uh, instinct of a business to have a few changes. There will be a few uncertainties. So it is very important to understand how to pivot, how to manage yourself through them. So all of it, the how to pivot through changes is also a lesson that would probably be included in the Arthashastra.
Right, I think that's the exact perspective people need right now.
Yeah, I mean, because nowadays it's just because there are too many, like everything is volatile. There are too many, I mean, even with the increase in buyer awareness and, like increase in competition in the world, it is very important for businesses to learn how to pivot, how to make that change in order to still be of value.
Right. So, can you give us an example of a modern business dilemma that you have faced where a specific ancient principle provided the solution?
So, we constantly face this dilemma of like choosing new products, expanding the product line, or like improving the processes, improving the internal processes, making what we have better. So that always is a dilemma, and I with actually with you, I had written this book as a manual for myself. So I that was supposed to be the basis of how we choose products and
Right.
projects. So the book by itself helped me how to prioritize what to do and what not to do.
Right. That's a very practical example you gave. So,
Thank you.
my next question is, how does Chanakya define integrity in a competitive market? Is it possible to scale a massive organization without cutting ethical concerns?
I think it is Chanakya's view of integrity was surprisingly practical. He didn't assume that people would always behave ethically, which is why he focused on systems, accountability, and incentives. And he understood that culture is not built through motivation posters, and it's built through organizations that tolerate repeated changes. Like it is something that you build into it. So like a muscle. And yes, you can scale ethically, but ethics has to be operational, not ornamental. Like there are many companies that would show that they're very ethical in their working, but when you go down into it, when you take a deep dive, they will not probably be as ethical as they show
Right.
themselves to be. So it is possible. I wouldn't say that it is impossible. It is possible, but it is something that has to come from the management itself. Like the ethics, the values have to come down from the management itself.
Right. I agree with you. And I want to know, what is the biggest misconceptions modern CEOs have about power and how would Chanakya correct them?
I think the modern CEOs would would Chanakya would probably be not be impressed by personal branding. If the company collapses without the founder being there. So I think it's people confuse visibility to power, the glamour, and the show of the business to power, which is not true. I would say that for him, the true power comes from building the systems that and not people. The system by itself should be able to build the people.
Right. Actually, I want to know how much of your research you have put into this book.
A lot. I mean, a lot because in the sense that I kind of was reading one of the translations of the Arthashastra while I was at ISB, and many of the assignments are case study based. So by default, I somehow use some of the Arthashastra in the assignments, and after that, when I realized that like I have too many icons on my desktop, I read all of them, and I just thought that it would be of more value if I compiled themselves into something else. So there was a lot of research. I can't even count how many books. I'm still reading books on Arthashastra.
Wow. I remember, like, I come from a political science background, so in our syllabus I had read in Indian political thought about Chanakya and Arthashastra, but in that syllabus we focus more on political and diplomatic aspects, but in your book you have completely shifted to corporate aspect, so it was completely new for me.
So actually, see that is what people mistake make this mistake as well. So Chanakya actually is credited for two books, Chanakya Niti and Arthashastra. Chanakya Niti would be all about like politics and democracy. Arthashastra would be about governance and statecraft. And
Right.
Arthashastra itself is a collection of 15 books. Like it's not one book; it's a collection of 15 books. So that is why in the Chanakya playbook, each in every chapter except the introduction and the conclusion chapter represents one particular book of the Arthashastra.
Right. I've also heard that Chanakya is always compared to Machiavelli. So, what is your take on that?
I think all great people are compared to each other. It's very, but all of them have their positives. All of them have their negatives. So uh, it is very easy to like people we get drawn to negatives a bit easier than we do to positive. But having said that, considering that like this is 2,000 years back,
Hmm.
and I don't know if you probably know Chanakya also kind of devised a system like the constitution for the Magadha Empire to run. So they were quite so. I would say that Chanakya itself was a very brilliant mind,
Right.
and we are right now just probably scratching the surface of that.
Right. So, I want to ask the last question. After people finish the last page of your book, Chanakya Playbook, so what is the one brave action you hope they take in their professional lives the very next day?
I think of the very next day, I hope that after reading the book, they probably just ask themselves that if I am chasing success, or if I'm chasing value, or significance, or if what I'm doing is sustainable and long term, because it is short term gains, especially nowadays, is very easy. Like short term gains and losses nowadays come and go. But like building something sustainable is very difficult. So I hope people kind of after reading the book focus a bit more on the sustainability bit of the business. When I talk about sustainability, I don't just mean just the environmental bit. Sustainability by itself would cover quite a lot of things, in the sense that I would want to be making profits down the line as well, right?
Right.
So I hope people focus on the long term gains after reading the book, and not like the short term gains.
Okay. So, like, what do you think this book is specifically for that particular audience? Like, who can read this book? Who can get a lot of benefit from this book?
I think I would say students, post undergrad, postgrad students, startup, like founders of startups, entrepreneurs, even professionals, because the Chanakya itself is covers something that uh, which can be used by everyone and anyone, and not even not. I'm not just specifically for business itself. Uh, for how to just probably communicate with someone, how to negotiate with someone, how to get a better deal, be it bargaining at a store. So, so I would. This book is for everyone who can read it.
Okay. So, I will show the book cover to them. And give me a minute. So, thank you so much, Abhiraj, for joining me today and talking about your book. It has been a very thoughtful conversation. And to everyone listening out there, do check out the book. As you can see the cover, the Chanakya Playbook. It's available on Amazon. You can get the hardcover copy, and you can also connect with the author on Instagram to stay connected with his creative journey. Thank you so much, Abhiraj.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
No, I think it's available on various bookstores also now. So if someone cannot find it on Amazon, they can probably check out at various bookstores.
Sure,
I
sure.
mean, if they would like to.
So do check out the book, And thank you so much for listening the podcast. And
Thank you.
yes, have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.